Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Comeback Conversations. I'm Henry, and if you're listening today, chances are you've either said this out loudly recently or at very least thought it. I just need more motivation. Maybe you've been feeling stuck, maybe you've been meaning to get started, maybe you've had a few good days, then life happened, and your routine went out the window, and now you feel like you're a bit like you're back at square one again. And the thing most people say in that moment is, I need to get my motivation back. But today, I want to challenge that because motivation is not the answer. In fact, if you keep waiting for motivation to show up before you start taking care of yourself, you'll stay stuck for far longer than you need to. So, in this episode, I want to talk about why motivation is unreliable, why it keeps so many women trapped in stop start cycles, and most importantly, what actually works instead. And if you're someone who feels like you've lost your spark a bit, like you know what to do, but you're not just doing it consistently, or like you spent so long looking after everybody else that it's hard to get going for yourself, then this one's for you. So let's get into it. I think one of the biggest lies in the fitness space is the idea that motivated people are the ones who succeed. That the women who lose weight, build confidence, get stronger, get consistent, and change their life somehow just have more motivation than you. I promise you, they don't. They just don't. What they usually have is a better system, a better structure, better habits, better standards, and a way better way of responding when they don't feel like it. Because let's be honest, motivation feels great when it's there, but when you've bought the new workout clothes, when it's a Monday, when you've had a little wake up call, when summer's around the corner, when you've seen a photo of yourself you don't like, when you're fed up and you think, right, enough is enough. In those moments, motivation is high. You're thinking, this is it. This time I'm going to do it properly. I'm cutting the rubbish out. I'm getting my steps in. I'm back in the gym. I'm meal prepping. I'm sorting myself out. And for a few days, sometimes even a couple of weeks, you do. But then life starts doing what it always does. You get tired. Work gets stressful. The kids need something. You have a bad night's sleep. Hormones are all over the place. You've had a weekend away. You miss one workout. You eat off plan once. You have a day where you just cannot be bothered. And suddenly that motivation that felt so powerful has completely disappeared. And because you built everything on motivation, everything starts to wobble. And that's why so many women live in this loop of start strong, lose momentum, feel bad, wait for the next wave of motivation, and start again. And that cycle is exhausting. Not because you're lazy, not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because you've been told to rely on a feeling that was never designed to carry you long term. Motivation is a feeling. And as we all know, feelings come and go. You cannot build your future on something that changes with your mood, your stress, your sleep, your cycle, your week, and your circumstances. That's the truth. Now, I do understand why people chase motivation because motivation gives you emotional certainty. It gives you that rush, that spark, the feeling of, yes, I'm ready now. And a lot of women I speak to are waiting for that feeling before they begin. They think, when I feel more motivated, then I'll start. When I feel more confident, then I'll join. When life calms down, then I'll take this seriously. When I'm in a better headspace, then I'll finally focus on me. But life doesn't really work like that because often the confidence comes after the action. The motivation comes after the progress. Better headspace comes after you start taking care of yourself, not before. And that's the bit people miss. They're waiting to feel better so they can act better. But most of the time, you have to act better before you feel better. You have to move before you feel ready. You have to start before you feel confident. You have to take one step before the spark comes back. And this is especially true for women I work with, women in their 40s, often after years of putting everyone else first, sometimes feeling like they've lost themselves a bit, sometimes dealing with perimenopause, sometimes just feeling flat, invisible, tired, and disconnected from who they used to be. When you're in that place, waiting for motivation can feel like waiting for rescue. And I say this with love. You do not need rescuing. You need structure. You need support. You need simple actions that rebuild trust in yourself again. That's what exactly changes things. Now, when people hear the word discipline, sometimes they switch off straight away because they imagine military level strictness. And you'd think you might get that from me with my ex-military background, but no flexibility, no fun, no life, no enjoyment, just grinding. That's not what I mean. What I mean is this: discipline is being able to do what matters, even when you don't feel like it. That's all. It's not punishment, it's not perfection, it's not being hard on yourself every single second of the day. It's keeping promises to yourself, especially on the days motivation's gone missing. And discipline sounds harsh until you realize what it actually gives you. It gives you freedom. Freedom from stop-start cycles. Freedom from relying on your mood. Freedom from constantly wondering if you're doing enough. Freedom from the guilt of always saying, I'll start again Monday. Because disciplined action means you no longer need to wake up and decide from scratch whether you're going to look after yourself today. You already know the answer. And I think for a lot of women, that's actually what they're craving. Not more hype, not another motivational quote, not another all or nothing reset. They're craving stability. They want to feel solid again, capable again, in control again, proud of themselves again. And that does not come from random bursts of motivation. It comes from repeated actions. Small ones, simple ones, consistent ones. So if motivation isn't the answer, what is? The answer is systems. A system is what carries you when you can't be bothered. A system is what stops every day becoming a negotiation. A system is what helps you keep going when your week gets busy. A system is what reduces the mental load. Because let's be honest, a lot of women are already mentally overloaded. You've got work, family, life, admin, emotional stress, responsibilities, maybe broken sleep, maybe hormonal changes, maybe a head full of other people's needs. And then on top of that, you're trying to decide, what should I eat? When should I exercise? What workout should I do? Do I have enough time? Should I just start again next week? What's the point if I can't do it perfectly? That's exhausting. So the women who do well long term are often not the most motivated. They're the ones with the fewest decisions. They know their basics. They know what they're aiming for, what their non-negotiables are, what they'll do on a busy day, what good enough looks like, and how to keep moving without needing to be perfect. That's the goal. You don't need the perfect plan, you need a repeatable one. So ask yourself, what are the few things that help me feel better when I actually do them? For most people, it's not complicated. It might be getting 8 to 10,000 steps, eating protein with meals, drinking more water, doing 2 or 3 strength sessions a week, planning food a little better, going to bed a bit earlier, and not writing the whole week off because of one bad meal. That's it. Not sexy, not dramatic, not extreme, but it works. And the problem is because it's simple, people overlook it. They think it can't be enough. So they keep scratching for the thing that finally makes them feel motivated enough. When actually the answer is often the boring basics done well again and again. Let's talk about why momentum disappears. Because when women say to me, I just can't stay motivated, what they often really mean is, I don't know how to keep going when life gets hard. And that's a very different problem and a solvable one. Usually, momentum drops for one of these reasons. First, the plan was too extreme to begin with. They tried to go from 0 to 100 overnight, 6 workouts a week, no treats, perfect meals, massive calorie cuts, and trying to become a different person by Monday. That's not a plan, that's a panic response. And panic plans don't last. Second, they missed a couple of days and it made it mean too much. This is a huge one. They miss a workout and think I've blown it. They overeat on a Saturday and think, well, I may as well again start Monday. They have a stressful week and think I'm failing. No, you're living a normal life. Consistency is not never missing. Consistency is always returning. Third, they have no support or accountability. When it's just you and your own thoughts, it's very easy to talk yourself out of what matters. Very easy. You can justify anything when you're tired enough. That's why accountability matters so much. Not because you need babysitting, but because sometimes you need grounding, you need reminding, you need someone to help you zoom out and not let one off day become a lost month. And fourth, they're trying to help hate themselves into change. This one matters. A lot of women think being hard on themselves will finally them get it together. It won't. Shame might get you moving for a few days, but it doesn't build lasting self-respect. And if every health effort is built on self-criticism, you'll eventually want to escape the process. Real change happens when you start treating yourself like someone who's worth showing up for, not when you bully yourself into action. So, if someone came to me and said, Henry, I'm done chasing motivation, what should I actually focus on? I'd say 5 things. One, non negotiables. Pick a few basics you can stick to, even on your messier weeks. Not 10 things, not some massive routine, just a few. For example, 8,000 steps minimum, protein with each meal, 2 litres of water a day, 3 workouts a week, or 2 gym sessions and 1 long walk. And then, most importantly for me, track habits daily. These are your anchors. On a chaotic week, you come back to these. Not perfection, not not to perfection, not to punishment, to your anchors. Lower the bar, but raise the consistency. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. Instead of asking, what's the perfect plan? Ask, what can I repeat? Because the best plan is the one you can do when you're tired, busy, emotional, hormonal, stressed, and not feeling your best. The 20-minute workout you actually do beats an hour-long workout you keep putting off. A decent breakfast beats skipping it and eating rubbish later. An 80% day beats an all or nothing mindset every single time. 3. Build identity, not just outcomes. Don't just ask, how do I lose weight? Ask, who am I becoming? Because when your only goal is the number on the scales, you'll wobble every time progress slows. But when your focus becomes, I'm someone who looks after herself, I'm someone who keeps promises to herself, I'm someone who trains because she respects her body, I'm someone who fuels herself properly, I'm someone who doesn't quit every time life gets busy. That changes everything. Identity is more powerful than motivation. 4. Make your environment help you. Stop relying purely on willpower. Willpower is weakest when you most need it. So make things easier. Plan meals. Put workouts in your calendar. Keep a water bottle nearby. I literally do that as well. Lay gym clothes out. Have a step target. Remove some of the friction. Success is often about making the good choice easier and the unhelpful choice less automatic. Number 5, track proof. So many women feel like they're getting nowhere because they only measure success by scales or by how they feel in one emotional moment. Start collecting proof. Proof might be, I trained twice this week, I drank more water, I said no to giving up, I handled the weekend better, I felt less bloated, got more energy, my clothes fit better, I feel more confident, I actually followed through. That proof matters because every time you collect that proof, you can trust yourself. Motivation becomes less important. You're no longer relying on emotion. You're building evidence. Now, let's talk about confidence for a second because this links in massively. A lot of women think they need confidence to get started, but confidence is built by doing. You don't wake up confident and then take action. You take action and confidence grows. Every promise you keep to yourself builds confidence. Every workout you complete builds confidence. Every day, you don't throw the towel in. That builds confidence. Every difficult week you navigate without quitting, again, builds confidence. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's a result of evidence. So if you've been waiting to feel confident before you properly commit to yourself, I want you to hear this. Confidence is on the other side of consistency, not the other way around. Now, I want to make this more practical. What do you do on the days where you really genuinely cannot be bothered? Because those days will come. Probably often. Here's what I say. First, stop asking, do I feel like it? That question is a trap. Instead, ask, what would the version of me I'm trying to become do next? Or what's the smallest action I can take right now? Maybe the answer is not a full gym session. Maybe it's a 15-minute walk. Maybe it's making a proper lunch. Maybe it's drinking some water. Maybe it's getting to bed earlier. Maybe it's just not turning one off moment into a full self-sabotage spiral. That still counts. On low motivation days, the goal is not to be amazing. The goal is to stay connected. Stay connected with your routine, stay connected with yourself, and stay connected to the standards. Because once you disconnect for too long, restarting feels harder. Don't focus on doing loads. Focus on keeping the chain unbroken as much as possible. Second, remember, action creates energy. People often say, I'm too tired to work out. Sometimes that is true and rest is the right call. But often what they really mean is they feel mentally flat. And in that case, a bit of movement gives energy back. A walk lifts your head. A workout changes your state. A proper meal makes you feel more human. A few simple actions can shift your whole day. You do not have to wait to feel energized before you move. Often movement is what creates the energy. Third, don't romanticize starting over. This matters. A lot of people love the idea of a fresh start. Monday, next month, after the holiday, after Easter, after the kids go back, after life calms down. But your life is happening now. And the version of you want to become, the version of you want to become is built in the middle of real life, not in some imaginary perfect week that never seems to arrive. So rather than starting over, practice carrying on. That's maturity, that's power, that's where real results come from. Now, I want to speak directly to the woman listening who feels like she's lost herself a bit. Maybe you used to feel more like you. Maybe you used to have more spark, more confidence, more energy. Maybe you look in the mirror and don't quite recognize the woman looking back. Maybe the kids have grown up a bit more and now you're left with this weird space where you finally have a bit more room to think about yourself and it feels unfamiliar. Maybe you've spent years being needed by everyone else. And now when it comes to your own needs, you don't really know where to begin. If that's you, I want to say this clearly. You do not need to wait for motivation to come and save you. You need to start rebuilding trust with yourself. Gently, consistently, one promise at a time. That might look like going for a walk when you said you would. Again, having a proper breakfast, doing 2 workouts this week, drinking your water, getting support, asking for help. Stopping all or nothing nonsense and finally deciding that you matter too, because this is never just about weight loss, it's about self-worth, it's about identity, it's about confidence, it's about feeling like yourself again. And that version of you is not gone. She's just waiting for you to stop abandoning her every time that motivation dips, and that's the truth. So let's wrap this up. If you take nothing else from today's episode, take this. Motivation is helpful, but is not dependable. And if you keep building your progress around motivation, you'll keep ending up frustrated. What actually works is structure, discipline, support, simple habits, repeated action, and learning how to keep going when you're not in the mood. Because the women who change don't always feel motivated. They just stop treating motivation like a requirement. They decide, they simplify, they follow through, and they keep coming back. That's it. So the question for you today is not how do I get motivated? The better question is what can I put in place so I don't need motivation to do the basics? This question will change your life. And if this episode hit home for you, if you're listening and thinking, yeah, this is me, I'm sick of the stop-start cycle, I'm sick of waiting to feel ready, I just want some structure, support, and to feel like myself again, then this is exactly what I do what I do. Because you do not have to figure this all out on your own. That's what support is for. That's what accountability is for. That's what having someone in your corner is for. So if you want help putting the right habits in place, building consistency, and finally creating progress that lasts longer than one motivated Monday, message me. Come and join the free Kickstart. Test the waters. Let me help you build momentum properly. Because the kids have flown the nest, and now it's your turn. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Combat Conversations. And as always, if it helped, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And as always, if this landed with you, message me and let me know what part hit the hardest. I'll catch you in the next one.